Trump believed he had a clear shot at Barack Obama during a press briefing, but within hours, Obama answered with such precision that the focus shifted back onto Trump himself. Barack Obama failed. We're cleaning up his mess. That was the line. The moment President Donald Trump leaned into the microphone inside the East Room of the White House, jabbing his finger for emphasis as if the cameras weren't already fixed on him. Reporters stirred in their chairs, some scribbling quickly, others raising their brows. Everyone knew those words would dominate headlines. It was a warm afternoon in Washington, and the briefing had been scheduled to focus on infrastructure, roads, bridges, transit. Yet, as often happened, Trump veered off script. The mood changed the instant he invoked Obama's name. His tone sharpened, his expression stiffened, and the tension in the room became almost tangible. You look at the numbers, you look at the deals. Disasters, Trump declared, swatting the air with his hand. Obama left this country weaker, he left us exposed, and now we're fixing it. My team is fixing it. Nobody else could. Camera shutters clicked in rapid bursts. CNN's Jim Acosta glanced over at NBC's Kristen Welker. Both seemed to recognize this wasn't just another offhand remark. This wasn't Trump mocking a rival or riffing on poll numbers. This was a president trying, in real time, to rewrite history. A reporter pressed him, "Mr. President, are you saying former President Obama is directly responsible for the current state of infrastructure?" Trump leaned forward, lips tight. "Absolutely, 100%. He didn't get it done. 8 years. Nothing. He left America behind, folks. Now we're catching up." The room went still. That kind of stillness filled more with anticipation than silence. The faint cough from the back row, the hum of a camera lens adjusting, the shuffle of papers, it all filled the space as Trump pressed on. Look, Barack Obama was great at speeches. Nice words, lots of talk. But when it came to action, nothing. My administration is about action. We're rebuilding. We're winning. Some reporters scribbled harder. Others smirked, fully aware of what was unfolding. This wasn't about infrastructure anymore. It was about legacy. Trump was working to cast himself as the fixer and Obama as the failure. Across the country, TVs lit up living rooms, diners, and office break rooms. For Trump's supporters, the remarks were fuel. For critics, it was yet another swipe at a man still held in high regard. Either way, everyone expected Obama wouldn't remain silent for long. By the time the briefing ended, the internet was already ablaze. Clips circulated, hashtags trended, and cable networks scrambled to build panels for primetime discussion. A San Diego headline summed it up. Trump blames Obama for nation's problems. Again. Inside the White House, aides rushed to spin the moment, stressing Trump's commitment to infrastructure. But some privately admitted the president may have triggered something larger. Unlike other political targets, Obama retained the unique power to answer, and when he did, people listened. In Georgetown, a former Obama aide scrolled through clips on her phone, shaking her head. "He went there again," she muttered, knowing exactly what was coming. Obama rarely rushed into public rebuttals, but when he did, his responses carried weight. Trump, however, appeared unconcerned. After the conference, he left the East Room smiling and chatting casually with staff as if he hadn't just reignited a national debate. Cameras trailed him until the doors closed, but the words he'd spoken lingered, spreading into households nationwide. In Spokane, a retired teacher set her mug down and sighed. That man can't go a week without mentioning Obama. In a Dallas barbershop, patrons debated whether Trump had a point. And across countless social feeds, clips replayed on loop, sparking heated arguments late into the night. What Trump hadn't counted on was how quickly his attack would boomerang back. While he was still celebrating the moment, Obama's team was already preparing a response designed to shift the conversation entirely. Within hours, the nation buzzed. Studios in Los Angeles and Miami cut footage, producers shouting for teams to get the story on air first. By evening, nearly every major broadcast led with one headline: Trump had gone after Obama, and he hadn't held back. On CNN, Anderson Cooper played the clip repeatedly. Former President Obama left America weaker. Trump's voice looped. Finger raised. Cooper narrowed his eyes and asked his panel, "Is this an honest assessment or pure theater?" Over on Fox News, Sean Hannity praised Trump for telling the truth, replaying the same footage under a banner. Trump blasts Obama's failed legacy. Guests debated. One called it necessary, another said it was an unhealthy obsession. Across living rooms, people argued. Some nodded along, convinced Obama had overpromised and underdelivered. Others groaned, tired of Trump invoking his predecessor yet again. On Twitter, things escalated faster. Obama vs. Trump trended almost instantly. A Detroit student's viral post read, "Trump blames Obama for everything. Next, he'll say Obama created potholes." The joke racked up hundreds of thousands of likes. Meanwhile, a Florida veteran tweeted, in Trump's defense, "He's right. Obama left the military weak. Trump's fixing it." This time, though, it felt different. Maybe it was Trump's tone, maybe the directness of the attack. Either way, the public was bracing, almost daring, Obama to respond. In Philadelphia, university students huddled around a laptop. "If Obama claps back, it's game over," one said. His roommate grinned. "Yeah, but will he? He usually plays it cool." Meanwhile, pundits speculated nonstop. On MSNBC, Rachel Maddow showed data on infrastructure spending, noting much of Trump's claim didn't hold up. "What's striking isn't the accuracy," she told viewers. "It's the audacity. Trump is trying to rewrite the story, and Obama has the power to correct it." Late-night comedians jumped in. Stephen Colbert quipped, "Today, Trump accused Obama of ruining infrastructure. Next, he'll blame him for traffic on I-95. The audience roared, but beneath the laughs, viewers sensed the larger conflict looming. In newsrooms, editors debated. Would Obama respond? At the Washington Post, a reporter was tasked with reaching out. At the Los Angeles Times, staff wondered aloud if Obama would even dignify the remarks. Yet most agreed he likely would. In a Madison cafe, a couple mulled it over. "Obama doesn't need anger," the man said. "All he has to do is lay out the facts. Trump will look foolish." His wife nodded. "That's why people still respect him. He explains, he doesn't yell." By late evening, screens filled with analysts debating whether Trump had overstepped. The subject wasn't infrastructure anymore. It was credibility. Which voice carried more weight, the sitting president with bold claims, or the former president with a measured, factual style? On PBS, one analyst compared it to running into a storm without an umbrella. His co-host added, "If Obama replies, the contrast will be clear." Trump thrives on chaos. Obama thrives on precision. It's not a fair match. And so, the country waited. Not just hoping Obama would respond, but expecting him to. Trump had taken shots before, but this time felt different. The stage was set. Trump had thrown the first punch. The nation held its breath to see if Obama would strike back. When Obama finally broke his silence, though, it wasn't with a punch. It was with something sharper, calmer, and ultimately more damaging. The first sign was what didn't happen. Hours went by. Trump's soundbite replayed nonstop, but from Obama's side, nothing. No tweets, no leaks, no press calls, silence, and that silence itself became part of the story. By mid-morning the next day, the response arrived. Obama didn't appear before cameras, didn't rally supporters, and didn't insult. Instead, his office released a 3-page statement. calm, precise, and fact-heavy. It hit newsroom inboxes at exactly 10:14 a.m. Within minutes, it became the lead story everywhere. It was being read live on television. President Obama is proud of the progress made during his administration, the statement began. From the largest infrastructure investment since the Eisenhower era to bipartisan efforts that modernized America's roads and bridges, the record speaks for itself. Anchors leaned in as the language grew more precise. The Recovery Act of 2009 provided $48 billion for transportation projects, including improvements to over 40,000 miles of roadway and nearly 27 bridges. Independent studies and bipartisan commissions have affirmed that the groundwork laid in those years enabled the work of later administrations. Obama's words didn't just answer Trump's charge, they took it apart point by point. Rather than accuse, he cited. Instead of raising his voice, he cooled the temperature. In doing so, he reminded Americans of something many had set aside: his ability to command a room without being in it. On MSNBC, a producer whispered off-camera as the text scrolled on the prompter, "He's cutting Trump off at the knees without even using his name." In Atlanta, an Uber driver kept the radio on while a local station read excerpts. His passenger, a middle-aged woman with groceries, smiled faintly. "That's Obama," she said. "Calm, facts over noise." The statement wasn't only numbers and policy. Obama slipped in a measured barb, the kind that lands on the second reading. Leadership is not measured by how loudly one speaks or how often one points fingers. It is measured by the ability to unite, to listen, and to act with clarity. Those lines cut deeper than any insult. Social media lit up. One tweet from a Cleveland high school teacher read, "Obama didn't need to shout. He reminded us what leadership sounds like." It pulled in thousands of retweets within hours. At the White House, reaction was immediate. Inside the West Wing, staff gathered around TVs. "This is bad, really bad," one aide muttered. Another leaned against the wall, arms folded, staring at the floor. For all the chaos of Trump's briefings, Obama's steady approach again shifted the focus without raising the volume. Journalists moved fast. The New York Times ran a side-by-side of Trump's claims and Obama's documented actions. The headline was blunt: "Trump's blame meets Obama's receipts." Over at Politico, a columnist wrote, "Obama just reminded the country that leadership is as much about tone as it is about results." Even late night took a sober beat. Trevor Noah looked into the camera. Trump shouted, Obama explained, and once again, facts sounded louder than noise. The applause was for the joke and the point behind it. What truly set the response apart wasn't only content, it was restraint. Obama could have hit Trump on multiple fronts: COVID missteps, staff churn, foreign policy stumbles. Instead, he stayed narrow and specific, which made the message land harder, like a single, precise jab that connects cleanly rather than a wild swing. In Springfield, Missouri, a community organizer met a small group at a coffee shop. They watched muted coverage while reading the statement on their phones. "This is the difference," she told a friend. "Trump feeds on anger. Obama leans on patience. That's why his words stick." And stick they did. By the evening news cycle, Obama's reply had already overshadowed Trump's attack. Clips of Trump's pointed finger now ran alongside Obama's calm, orderly paragraphs. The contrast was impossible to miss. A CNN anchor summed it up during a panel. Trump offered sound and fury. Obama offered receipts and reflection. Which one will people remember tomorrow? The story didn't end there. Once those two narratives collided, the internet and television built a constant split screen that magnified the difference between them. By the next morning, screens across the country became a steady split-screen loop. Trump on one side, Obama on the other. On CNN, Trump's finger jab ran beside a clean graphic of Obama's statement being read aloud. The contrast was stark. Trump appeared heated, animated, frustrated. Obama's words were calm, structured, and specific. It wasn't just cable. Local stations in St. Louis, Albuquerque, and Portland played the clips back to back, letting viewers compare for themselves. The result was exactly what Obama's team anticipated. People could make their own judgments, and most did. Online, the edits turned almost theatrical. TikTok creators layered tense music under Trump's rant, then switched to soft piano for Obama's statement. A viral YouTube upload titled Trump versus Obama, Words versus Facts, crossed 1 million views in 2 days. The top comment, one man yells, the other explains. The difference is night and day. The power of the contrast wasn't only style, it was substance. In town halls and radio segments, experts translated it for everyday listeners. On NPR, a host asked a transportation analyst to verify Obama's figures. The analyst confirmed, nearly every number. Yes, the projects under the Recovery Act were real, still in service. Highways, bridges, rail upgrades. The data is clear. Meanwhile, Trump's claims had less footing. Some former officials undercut them. A resurfaced clip showed one of Trump's early transportation secretaries praising Obama-era investments, cutting against the new narrative. The video landed on MSNBC's Morning Joe, where the hosts chuckled. "He walked right into this," Joe Scarborough said. For many Americans, the side-by-side carried an emotional charge. A retired nurse in Tulsa told a local reporter, "When I watch Trump yell, I get tired. When I hear Obama's words, I feel like someone's thinking." That feeling echoed across Facebook threads and dinner tables, where people weighed not just policies, but temperament. Obama's statement also reached younger audiences who had barely followed infrastructure debates. A Boise College sophomore stitched the 2 clips on TikTok with the caption, "Leadership isn't volume, it's clarity." It was shared tens of thousands of times, pushing the message beyond politics into everyday chatter. Not everyone was persuaded. Trump's allies pushed back against the comparisons. On Fox and Friends, one host argued, "This is unfair editing. President Trump is a fighter. He talks straight to the people, not through polished releases." But even as they defended him, the visuals told their own story. The louder Trump sounded, the more Obama's composure stood out. By Wednesday afternoon, late-night shows leaned into the split-screen motif. Jimmy Kimmel played Trump's clip, then Obama's words in Obama's own voice. Kimmel paused, raised his eyebrows, and deadpanned, "One of these guys sounds like a president." The audience erupted, not just at the line, but at the clear. Contrast it underscored. In Phoenix, a group of union workers gathered at a break site, phones out. One held up the clips. "You can tell who's using facts and who's using feelings." His buddy shrugged. "Feelings don't build bridges." The crew laughed, but the point lingered. Obama's figures felt like bedrock. Trump's bursts felt like shifting sand. The media knew a storyline when it saw one. The Associated Press ran, side by side, Obama's steady words versus Trump's fiery attack. The leady. In American politics, contrast is everything. And this week, contrast spoke louder than claims. By then, avoiding the comparison was impossible. In a diner in Omaha or a gate in Phoenix, the overhead TVs replayed the same loop. Sound off. The body language still told the tale, Trump's hand slicing the air. Obama's words printed cleanly on screen. The effect compounded. Each replay, meme, punchline, and local headline pressed the same message. Obama looked steady. Trump looked shaken. Once people saw it, they couldn't unsee it. Behind the neat edits and public chatter, another story unfolded. The scramble inside Trump's team to manage the fallout. The cameras were off, but inside the West Wing, the fire still raged. The morning after Obama's statement circulated, senior staff met in the Roosevelt Room. Phones buzzed across the table with fresh headlines, tweets, and late-night clips showing the split screen again and again. The mood was tight, and the quiet said plenty. Finally, Press Secretary Linda Harrington broke it. She tossed her phone onto the table, screen lit. "We're getting hammered out there," she said, voice clipped. "Every network is treating Obama's statement like gospel. He didn't even show his face, and he's already winning." Across the table, Chief of Staff Mark Reynolds leaned back, rubbing his temple. "We knew he'd answer. We didn't. Think he'd go full accountant on us. Every number checks out. That's what hurts. It's not tone, it's the receipts." Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, flipped through a folder of talking points.